Let's go out to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. You can watch John Crotty tonight with Eric Reed, Ron Rothstein. They have your coverage on Bally Sports Sun. After the game tonight, have all your local post-game coverage. And John Crotty getting set to join us here. Go ahead. Crotty, what's going on, man?
Hey,
guys, how are you?
Happening.
Pretty exciting times, right?
Oh, pretty exciting times, man. It's been a nonstop day in and day out between the Cats and the Heat. This is a thrilling time right now, Crotty. I can't think of anything that will ever match this.
No, I agree. It's the run the Heat are on right now, and then what's going on with the Panthers is amazing. After just seeing the Final Four college run with the two South Florida teams, FAU and UM, it's a great time to be a South Florida sports fan. That's for darn sure.
Crotty, is this Miami Heat team kind of throwing all of the preparation in Spo and Riley's face? Because, they're old school coaches, right? We need to see it. We need to build to a certain point. We can't be doing this at this point of the year. And then the playoffs get here and all right, let's go. Right?
Look, none of us could have foreseen what's taken place, but I do honestly think, Leroy, this has happened organically. This has happened through the trials and tribulations of a long, grinding regular season. You've heard Coach Spo talk about it. Most people, it's all about the rush to get to the playoffs, but it's a process, and this team has had huge aspirations in regards to where they wanted to go. They were really struggling throughout the course of the season with their offense, being able to score the basketball. Defensively, they continue to get better, and towards the end of the year, really had hit a level of defensive consistency and intensity that was able to actually win games at times. But the offense was the lowest scoring offense in the entire 30-team league. And all of a sudden, to see the script kind of be flipped and be, the highest scoring team throughout at least part of the playoffs, it's been just remarkable. And I think some of it's, things are starting to click. Shots are starting to fall, but spacing's been there. Ball movements continue to increase. Guys are accepting their roles and just executing to a T.
As long as you've been in basketball, is this not the farthest somebody that has championship aspirations gone down their bench? Like usually it was 7 and 8, maybe you get to 9. Supposed to playing everybody.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I just think from just the whole thing is just so unique. You don't see a team in this league, kind of limp into the playoffs, have some really significant injuries, struggle in the play-in. We were down. We lose to Atlanta in the first plan, second plan against Chicago. We're losing with 3 minutes to go, and we wind up winning. And here we are in the Eastern Conference Finals up 3-0 with, a major player and Tyler Hero being out, a 20-point score, and guys are just stepping up. I think the strength is in this bench right now with guys coming in. I've talked about it throughout the course of the season, but I think Eric Spoelstra and his staff breathe more confidence into younger players than any coaching staff I've ever seen. And that matters. It matters because guys feel like they're not looking over their shoulder, worried about getting pulled if they make a bad play, if they miss a couple shots. If you have someone sitting there going, look, you're a great shooter, shoot the basketball. If you don't shoot, I'm going to take you out. That's powerful. And then when you couple that, right, with a guy like Jimmy Butler, who's, performing at all world NBA levels, and he's telling you as a younger player or a guy who's coming off the bench and now getting significant minutes, hey, we believe in you. Make the right play. It's okay. That's really strong, guys. And I see everyone really kind of rising up. They really believe in one another right now. This is a dangerous team.
Crotty, how impressive you've been, and a couple of guys mentioned this after the game, a couple of players, just that there hasn't really been any let up from them. I think it's natural in these series. We see, blowouts be exchanged and things like that, but they, even with a comfortable lead of 2-0 going to their building, they looked like the team that wanted to get the hold on the series. It didn't look like Boston was the more desperate team. And that feels like it's been the thing throughout this entire postseason. Even when Miami could let up a little bit, they haven't. I mean, how impressive have you been with that element of this?
Very impressed. In fact, shocked. I mean, that game 3, to your point, first of all, to be up 2-0 against the Boston team, to me, was incredibly surprising. I thought we would get 1, but 2 was just like, wow. And then I'm like, these guys are going to be coming into Miami frothing at the mouth. They're getting pounded every day by the Boston media, right? I mean, like, to me, you're angst, you're angry. The only place you can really let it out is when you get out there on the floor. And Miami matched that intensity and took it up. And then how often have we see teams in the league now where you're in a 20+ point lead early in the game, and it's almost like, oh geez, it's like too early to have that lead, you know?
Yeah.
Because everyone is going to run back, and with the ability to shoot the 3 ball, that lead doesn't really have the same command that it would, you know, during my era of play, as an example, because of the amount of 3-point shots. So they not only took that lead, they continued to put their foot right on the neck and just extended it and turned it into, you know, a 30-point pounding, which was shocking. And you could just literally see to me at times the soul being kind of crushed out of that Boston team, who's got some incredible talent.
Crotty, I've said this, that you can question a person's talent. You can question a lot of things. But when Brogdon said they are a physical team, but they're not
going to do that to us.
They're not going to do that to us. You're almost saying that they're not tough enough to compete with you. And that was more insulting than any other thing that they've said, including Brogdon saying he still thinks they're the better team. I tell people, as a person that was in sports, that you can say a lot of things. Don't ever question my physical ability or my want to, because then me and you going to go to blows. That's like more insulting than anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought it's also just strange comments. I know Jaylen Brown's made some comments too. It's like, you're down 3-0. Some of the comments you're making just don't make sense. Talking about, well, these guys are, we should be better than them, or they're
playing above their means.
Yeah, exactly. Playing above their means.
I was like, huh?
What are you saying? Right? Like, it's just boom. You can just.
It's been a month and a half, dude. Get over it. Right? They've been playing outside their mean for a month and a half.
Put that up on the bulletin board, though. I mean, and just go right at them again. It's just, I don't understand it. So, just to that point, though, the way Miami's continued to stay together and message the right thing. These things matter, guys, right? I mean, like, if you're in a playoff run and someone goes off and says something crazy, you wind up creating fire and different issues. You see even Grant Williams, who is trying to do the right thing, right, and be physical, which is honestly what they needed at the time, right? But
exactly.
you pick the wrong guy to do it with, and it winds up backfiring and turning into
my favorite thing about it. My favorite thing about it, Crotty, is he started talking trash after he hit a 3. Like, like that was the mistake, I feel like.
Hey, Crotty, shouldn't that come from a guy higher up on the totem pole, though? Because nobody's going to follow that, right?
You talking about the smack talking?
Yeah, well, just the overall trying to be physical and going face to face with Jimmy. That needs to come from Tatum or Brown, right? It can't come from a guy coming off the bench that didn't play the game before. It's got to come from a guy that has a bigger role.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I also think, like, to me, it just needed to be collective. Like, I felt like their whole team is. I actually liked what Joe Mazzulla did. I don't know if you noticed, but in the fourth quarter, he sat his entire starting lineup, emptied the bench, put those guys in, let those guys came out. They were physical. They played with greater intensity. They made a bit of a run before Miami stomped them again. But, like you at some point, you need your collective group to come together and those types of plays. To me, the league has gotten away from a lot of that physicality, and they've done a good job of preventing people from getting hurt. And look, the game's about movement and flow. as opposed to, hitting guys as they're coming right in the middle of the lane or wrapping people up and, that kind of stuff. But that when things are struggling and you're doing poorly, one of the classic ways to sort of change the flow is to create those types of confrontations, right? And that stirs everybody up. It tends to energize, your team as well as the fan base. If you're struggling, and I'm not seeing that from Boston or any individual really within their team. I mean, Williams just, I love the fact that he wanted to be more physical, but he just picked again the wrong guy.
Right.
Crotty, how impressive you been? I think back to that game 2 against the Knicks where Bam and Jimmy was out, but Bam took ownership of that game, of them not being able to pull it out because they were close. I feel like the way that he's played since then has been incredibly. It feels like he's dunking on 3 people's head a night. What have you made of just Bam's postseason run?
I think his toughest matchup, based upon my observation, seeing him play every team throughout the course of the season, obviously seeing his whole career, is that Milwaukee series and going against Brook Lopez is probably his toughest matchup. The size, the physicality, the way Brook plays in that drop zone. He's like faking and then he's backing off and he's standing right in front of the rim, and he's a big 280-pound, 7'2" dude. You have to either go over top of him or you got to make that little tough shot. And that is his challenge. And he had some good games and some tougher games against Milwaukee that way. But once he got into that Knicks series, Brendan, to your point, I think he was just like, oh, this is great. It was a change of pace. He was able to get to more of his game, use his speed, his physicality. And I love the way he's taken ownership, and he always makes the right winning play. But I love when he's more assertive on the offensive end, because I think we need that, particularly if Jimmy is having any kind of issues at all. It's got to be Bam that's got to show that extra spark, and he'll do that. And he's got to get the ball in certain areas to be the most effective player, and that's on those screen and dives, that short roll right between free throw line and dotted line, lob action to the basket. Get him the ball early where he can try to attack in transition, or on a bigger guy, give him the ball sort of where he can pull and isolate a bigger, slower guy away from the basket, face him up, and then attack him off the dribble. That's what you want to do to put Bam in the best position.
Crotty, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. Watch John Crotty tonight. Bally Sports Sun. He, Eric Reed, Ron Rothstein, the whole crew do a fantastic job. You guys can get your local post game with them after the conclusion of Game 4. Heat going for the sweep tonight at the Kaseya Center. We'll see you down there, John. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, John.
Go Heat. Take care, guys.